Stockholm began as a small city, which, as it was being populated and industrialized, there was an increase of pollution up to a limit that the street became a difficult place to travel and to pass through because of the excess of vehicles. The air became heavy and dark. The light became a toxic well, where a contest among all waste was thrown. In general, life quality was low. From certain measures that were taken since 1917, the city began a process of transformation, in which was included the fight against the climate change, the air pollution, and actions in favor of recycling, creating buildings that are held by themselves. That satisfies a cycle and also allows the reuse of waste as energy to keep running the building, and finally the public transport, the key element to purify air and vehicular congestion. Its political system consists in a system of constitutional monarchy in which the figure of king coexisting does not comply the administrative labor of the country. For these labors, the nation has a prime minister that is chosen by a parliament, which is governed by a social democratic policy. In principle, its economy it is based on agriculture and timber export, which was an industrialized process that led the country into a critical situation because of the exploitation of land, making Stockholm an industrialized and polluted city. With the beginning of the industrial age and the mass migration from countryside to city, in the second half of the 19th century, the population of Stockholm passes from 93,000 to 300,000, creating urban sprawl. The rapid increasing of population and industrialization makes the city still lacking touch about green, and it is reaching the limits of the contamination. The agricultural and the industrial sector have been rising until the point that may experience the most industrialized country in Europe. It is almost self-sufficient to supply itself in agricultural products. Although it had a sewer system, all the waste was thrown directly into the Lake Malaren, something similar to what happens today with the Guairo River in Caracas. Because of the river's contamination between the 20s and 17th, was forbidden to dive into it. In 1916, the government sector carefully studied the environmental impact that was causing the river because the fish were disappearing. So they decided to invest about chemical and biological treatments to restore water, and they built treatment plants of water. Today, the lake is fully recovered. It is a popular place for salmon fishing, and in summer it becomes a mating space, since you can swim and making picnics. Moreover, before the Industrial Revolution, Horston in southern Stockholm was a place dedicated to the snuff plantations, which later became the home of the anarchist sector. It also became the home of alcoholics, the unemployed, beggars, and gang of young crime, a very dangerous place to travel at night. This situation was controlled after the decade of the 16 years.
In the case of energy sources, exists a kind of variety where the 45% comes from hydroelectric and other from nuclear power plants. The largest volume of radioactive waste is created in the stage where nuclear fuel starts producing electricity. Currently, it has a heavily regular economic market that has been presented as an example of socioeconomic proposal in the European Union. For the average worker, the income is at 40% of their salary after paying taxes and social security contributions. Part of that 60% to pay is destined to a land co-management tax. Initially, it started as a 17-month pilot scheme, and then it became permanent through a referendum made on August 1st of 2007. Now, let's talk about what happened to the buildings in the neighborhood of Hammarby's Hotel. An example of the limits that had to approach Stockholm to react is the case of Hammarby's Hotel neighborhood, located at the periphery of the port. In the mid-19th century, it was an industrial area with lots of pollution problems. The change occurs in the 90s when Sweden tried to be host for the Olympic Games, and the reduction of environmental impact was their major objective. The goal not only came true, this area is used as an environmental model city for the rest of the European Union countries. The philosophy of the sustainable buildings in Stockholm is that each one must have a life cycle that can be repeated indefinite times. The organic waste that is processed to generate biogas, it will subsequently be used as an energy for the building. What we want to explain is that the building depends mainly on itself, and it does not need to extract large amounts of resources such as water and electricity. They use the technology as an integral part of the everyday system of the neighborhood. 4-glassed window, minimizing loss of heat, biogas from wastewater filling the ovens and cookers, pneumatic collection of solid waste, photovoltaics and fuel cells, strict use of non-toxic materials and glass, and a pleasant district heating, cooling, promotion of sustainable transport such as a carpool, trainways, and biogas-powered ferries to name but a few. Also, this whole green building is backed by transportation signs. In Stockholm, it's not strictly necessary to use the car, because the city has bus stops, subway stations, ecological bicycles, trams, and among others, that work in a perfect way. Most of them do not depend on energy from oil. Finally, we can say that although there exists some controversies about the search of a mechanism to displace oil as the main generator of energy, is due to the political organization that this country has managed to set taxes for many years as an environment policy instrument, including energy taxes and the tax of carbon dioxide, which requires its citizens to contribute directly to the environment and the development of technologies to conserve it. This structure from a consolidated economy can achieve great changes in a social and environment areas, making Stockholm as a model from other nations.